Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 291. Today is Saturday, September 28th, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. I am starting to record with only half a cup of coffee. Whatever, I sipped the first half already. I didn't prepare the region for podcasting, so not too crazy. I don't. Oops. Well, it was like my computer hasn't been turned on in a little bit, so I was like, so. I have verified that nothing is correct, so not too crazy. So, what is it? I still haven't started my grandfather's socks yet. I still haven't even wound the yarn yet, but I should do that. That would make a lot of sense. So, it shouldn't be that crazy, but it has not yet occurred. Another thing that I wanted to do today was actually sit down and figure out what I've knitted and spun since probably sometime in June, and weigh it out or write it down or something like that, and then what I've bought since June, which is actually quite a lot, or brought home for that matter, and then put that down sort of in my accountability challenge, because I haven't done it in quite some time, and it's basically October now, so. And then I can throw a picture up of my sweater, and other such nonsense, and call it good. So you can sort of see this bag here. I might actually just shimmy it out of frame. Like, it doesn't take much to get it out of frame, but it does take something. And then it appears that this says come off the needles again, and this is where things are pulling, so we shall get this back on. So this is my Vitamin D, which is a Heidi Kermeyer pattern that I am knitting out of Claudia Hand Paint's Contemplation Lace in the Lone Star color. I have made one modification to the pattern because I reread the pattern and realized I had implemented something incorrectly, as you do. And I guess I am currently working one of my increase rows, which is exciting. Hopefully I don't know, we'll make it work. I haven't worked on this today, but I did work on it quite a bit yesterday. There hasn't been very much knitting today. Whatever. I succeeded at my one task, so can't complain. Let's see. So, but what is it? This is, I have slippery yarn on metal needles, and the yarn doesn't even really want to stick to itself for that matter, so this is always the delicate maneuver, getting this back on again. But this is the project that has received most of my love this week. It is definitely grown quite a bit since I showed it last time, though I don't have a marker in place to justify that that statement, but whatever. It is, but what it boils down to is this has been my only knitting project. So getting it into a safe place would be smart. So are much closer now. This would have been a good thing to do before I started recording, but did I think of that though? It's possible that I'll end up putting a cut in this episode and then switching to a slightly different topic. I don't even know what's going on there entirely. Okay. So, it's like super messy right in there. Alright. Am I in the midst of adding increases? Of course. Alright, at least this back I linked does again for the most part. So, so this has been my only project. I don't know if but like we're talking quite a lot of sweater going on here. So I started off with 3 skeins, and I have worked in the first one in its entirety. When I last weighed the project, this is the yarn over. When I last weighed the project, Thursday, I don't know. I weighed the project to check and see how close I was to the end, and I had 3/4 of a skein in total remaining, which is fine. But that sort of gave me a rough stopping point to consider, which is that when I entirely work in the second skein of yarn, then I will just have, what would it be, probably a 1/4 skein remaining of the third at that point. Because I have worked the third skein into the sleeves and the first and second. So I use the first and second in the sleeves, and use the first and second, the first and third in the sleeves. I use the first and second in the body. And then when I ran out of the first, I incorporated the second and third in the body. So I'm alternating every 2 rows. My place of alternation is, need to at least slightly pay attention so that I put the increases in the right spot. So all of the first skeins in there now, most of the second skein is in here now, and what remains to be done is getting as much of that body in as possible. So I'm thinking, or what would it be, I'll have probably 20 some grams left when I'm done incorporating the second and third together, and that will be my sign to, oops, oh wait, I did put that crease in there. This is like bad thing to do while talking. Additionally, that does end up making it a little challenging to figure out where that marker goes, though that marker was fairly unimportant. So I may just proceed without it. Because when it hopped off the needles, it dropped that marker too. Whoopsies. So the most important marker is the one where I'm doing the color change, so I'm doing the color change on the side instead of the edge. Because there is the possibility of not doing a border around the edge. And so you don't want to have that extra bulk from the skein changes on your finished edge of sweater. And also because there were short rows, it made sense to actually have the change occur at the most inside part of where the short rows are happening, because you're making the back much deeper than the front on this sweater. So it's looking pretty good so far. I've been happy with how it's pooling and striping, because I have like, I don't know, 16 increases every couple of rows. It means that it's a little bit less likely to pool for any particularly long time. And so you can sort of see how the back is longer than the fronts, though the fronts are fairly bunched up right now. So, like, we're talking that the sweater probably is long enough at this point, but I don't see too much harm in making it a bit longer. And then when I have finished incorporating, oh, I don't even have, okay, no, there's all sorts of funny things which should be in my car that are in my bag. So here's the thought process. I would like to make the bottom look distinctly different than the middle section. So with this, I'm hoping that I can get 6 or 8 holes before from the last place I did short rows. And then with what remains, that will be all my border stuff. I do have quite a bit of border to make on this. The one that I tried on didn't have that border, so it was just garter all around, and it didn't seem to roll that much. But I like garter. So I may add it anyways. And they actually did a modification where they had like a little bit of garter at the neck and then stopped when I looked carefully at the photos. But that being said, I think it'll be fine. I'll be using my Xiaogu mini interchangeable set in order to do that, so I may need to gang a couple cables on in order to get it long enough. But whatever. But it does, on one hand, this isn't a lot of yarn. On the other hand, it's a lot of yarn. It means I have quite a lot of knitting to go still. But I have been focusing monogamously on this project. Knit on it all the way to San Francisco, knit on it all the way back, knit on it at meetings, knit on it, yeah. Knit on it during knit night. Like, it's getting its time in the sun, that's for sure. But still, it feels like this persists. I felt that same way about the first ball too, though. So I think I'm gonna manage to have things be fairly spread out. I probably won't alternate with this guy because it's gonna be messy to alternate from a single skein of yarn. Like, possible, but ugly. And because it's linen, it just acts a little bit differently. Like, I'm pulling from the outside because the linen doesn't want to stick to itself. So I think the other reason why this project was very attractive to work on monogamously is that, see, I let it leave my hands and then parts of it came off the needle. So as long as I'm holding on to this project, everything's okay. Like, the stitches stay in the needles and there are no problems. But when I let go of this project, then bad stuff happens. Not like terrible stuff, but it's just a little bit too slippery for my needs. So, but what is it? I'm actually coming upon the point where I'm actually gonna I'm gonna have to make a modification. So this did fall off the needles last night fairly significantly, and I did get it back on, and I picked up my yarn and I started knitting away. And then I turned around and I was starting to go back and I realized that I had made a mistake. I had picked up the wrong end of the yarn because it's in the middle of the row where my color transition is. And had it been any other row, I could have faked it. Like, but because it is an increase row, I didn't chunk in my increases as I was going the wrong way. And what I think ended up happening was, effectively speaking, it counts like as a direction change. So I was on a purl row when it fell off the needles, and then I started a knit row from the color exchange location. So I will have to put my all-important marker back in, and I will need to tink back that row, or whatever, that back and forth that I did on the front panel that I wasn't supposed to do, so that I can whack in my increases, because I can't fake that. Because it's just way too many increases to do that. So it's not the end of the world. I don't even know how many stitches. I don't even know how many stitches are on. It feels like very, very long rows, and the circular increases are not helping, even though they aren't, like, the back, or like they're circular increases for the yoke, and then the back just is a box after that point. The fronts have the short rows to make it swingy, because I don't think there was a way in order to smoothly continue increasing, so in order to make it long enough, that's why the short rows are put in. And then I just sort of further emphasized the short rows with doing another round of them. So I think the sweater's still going to be very cute despite this design change. I feel like I need something to more thoroughly lock. Okay, so no, I just had to fall off the nails again. So the moment that this may be the case where it just needs to be on a truly ridiculously long needle in order for me to do what I'm envisioning. It was the case where I was trying it on, and there was a certain amount of making fun of the fact that it was just like immediately sliding off. As you do. So I've spent probably more time getting it back on episode than proceeding to work on it. But part of the, like, a lot of this is the yarn and needle choice, and I don't really own wooden needles in this size, so it doesn't even make sense, you know what I mean? And I'm not even sure wooden needles would fix the great slipperiness problem anyways. But this got quite a lot of attention. I'm not sure if I was done short rowing. I don't even know where I was last time. It's been 2 weeks. Isn't like I finished anything. Details. So, it's probably slightly futile. So I did actually have the sleeves knotted up earlier because they really do like to tangle with the balls of yarn. But this ends up, I think, showing fairly well what's going on. It's a matter of, I'm not sure of the right way to highlight one piece over the other. Or to squish one at the expense of, may not be possible. Oh well. It'll be easier to show once I finally get to bind the body of this off. And maybe I can only show it once it's done. So, whatever. The problem is that my interchangeable one is holding this project, which is my V-neck boxy. So, it has received no love. I carried it with me. No love. I carried my spindle project with me. No love. I've been very, very focused on this one. So, it's gonna need more work, and that work won't happen on air, so. But I did manage to get some spinning done despite that. So I am working on this russety, there we go. I'm working on this russety fleece. It came to me as sort of dyed locks cloud, and this was my second combing practice, so I just took all of those jumbled fibers, combed them together, and what ended up happening was after a couple of passes, the colors blended together to give this sort of value. But if you look closely at the fiber, you will see, what would it be, fibers that are different colors. It's just sort of has this average effect of a very reddish brown. And what I did was I actually sat down yesterday and weighed all of it with an empty bobbin, and then, or what was it? I took my scale, I put an empty bobbin in it, I tared it out, I weighed how much fiber, unspun fiber I had, and then I chunked my bobbin of fiber into that same teared out thing in order to figure out what I had. So I had 79 spun already, I had 269 grams unspun, and then I figured out that I do have right on the button 12 ounces of fiber, which works out to 115 grams times 3. So I figured out that I needed 36 grams in order to make it to 115 on the button, and that's what's in my bowl. Flying fiber. So now I'm gonna spin this bowl of fiber, and then I know I'm done with that bobbin, and then I'll sit down and I'll figure out what my 4 ounces is gonna be for that, and then I'll have 2 bags of fiber, and I'll just pull from one bag and pull from the other bag to make a 3-ply. And then when I'm done, I'll probably over dye it blue, because I was like, does this fiber look good with my coloring? It's okay. So, like, I'm not gonna force it. What was it? So everything's been going fairly well. It was nice to get back to that project. I had been more in a knitting mood than a spinning mood lately, so if I had recorded last week there would have been no spinning. But luckily, there was some delay. So, this is, and I was very optimistic that I would need another bobbin, and that was untrue. So this is the other 2/3 of the project. This is a part of my Spin the Bin, which is in the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary group, and my wheel is on the ground. It's folded up on the ground because I threw it in my car to take to knit night last night. So we'll see if we can get this into position without having it be too dark. I don't know, it still looks pretty dark, doesn't it? This is not going to be a very tonal thing. The tonality is showing up, at least to me, up close, as like very gentle marling within the singles themselves, with sort of a deeper brown, more of a reddish brown, and then like a little bit maybe that's vaguely yellow, because it was like red, yellow, and orange, and that was just what it averaged out to be. And then I haven't done any splitting of fiber for the fleece, Jenny the Fleece spin. But what is it? The plan is to actually split my fiber into, or each one of my colors into 9 groups, and I will need to finish this project first, so no big deal. And then it'll probably be the case where I'll do, or what would it be? I'll sort of have, I think that I have like 6 or 7 bobbins at this point. I have 7 bobbins at this point, so it'll probably be the case where I'll spin 6 groups of singles and then mix and match. And then do the next group of 6 singles and mix and match. So there should be like a total of, that'd be, so if I have 9 yards, it'd probably be 9 yards, 36, yeah. So that would be like 36, that doesn't add up. 27, yes. So it'd be the case where if I do groups like that, then I can have all of this work out and have it be averaged as nicely as possible. Or I may end up shorting the, so I think the last ones that I will apply are the all of one, so that I can just make everything work with the bobbins that I have, because there's no guarantee that I will have perfect lengths of everything, or just average it out however that works out. So it'd be the case where I'll have, sorry, this just seems super duper confusing. So if I make it so that my single color skeins are the last ones, then that can either use all of the leftovers I have, or I can have that be somewhat shorter than the others, and I can ply back on itself and that sort of thing. Or have small bits left over of one particular ply, and then I can add those to what will be the final skein. I don't know. It should result in 9 3-ply yarns, which means I'll have some bobbin management, but hopefully it won't be the end of the world. So it starts probably with weighing. And go from there. But I think I want to have as many bobbins open as possible before I begin. And so that means I have to finish this procrastination project that I started. And hopefully it doesn't take too long, because it seems like the fleece project will be sort of complicated. And I'm guessing it's going to end up producing about 12 ounces of yarn in the end. So they might not be particularly large skeins, as you do. And what was that? It's one pattern that ends up using a fade particularly well is, I don't know, I guess it doesn't really matter. It could be that I decide to make a very simple sweater with yarn, as you do. And have things go back around again. Such as life. So, it's going to take a little bit of accounting in order to make that all work. So it's possible that I might record next week. We shall see. What would it be? I won't be able to carry a lot of stuff with me, so a lot of that sort of hinges on whether or not I don't think the work computer has like recording software, so it may just be a moot point. As you do, such is life. Like, I may look and see. But it was sort of the case where the Dursa level one was like, just record on your camera and edit elsewhere, and it was like, I'm not sure how compatible that's going to be. Who knows? I could try this and see what happens. I'm assuming that it would be cut into many segments because I'm assuming it would be cut into many segments because I don't think there's a lot of space on my phone right now. But it is an avenue to explore. It was the case where he was expecting I was going to try to record. It was like, I wasn't planning on it. Would it be? And then it's also been hilarious because my mother-in-law's been like poking very hard. It was like, you have a sugar daddy, have him fly you to Rhinebeck. And it was like, I'm going to, like, don't get me wrong, I did ask him if he wanted to just meet in New York on that particular weekend. Sadly, he wasn't game. So not this year. I already got my ticket to go to San Francisco that weekend, so. But it was hilarious because, like, my mother-in-law's like, you have a sugar daddy, bring a, like, person to bring you out here. And it was like, you really need to convince your son. So, oh well, whatever, such is life. So, it's probably okay, because if I am to hold myself accountable, I really do need to bust some spinning and knitting stash pretty hard. What would it be? I'm a little bit concerned about what my accountability is going to end up showing. Or what is it? Because that was 3 sweater quantities at SSK, so. Maybe like half a sweater quantity of fiber, so. So, oh, the only way out is through, so that's what I'm gonna do. So we'll see if I record next week. I'll look into how much of a pain it's going to be. And yeah, with that, hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.